Good morning. Welcome to Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are and wherever you come from, for this hour we here are one gathered congregation and all are welcome. Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing our musical call to worship, hymn number 298 in our gray hymnal, Wake Now My Senses, and we'll be singing verses 1, 2, and 3. My name is Kim Stewart, and I use she, her pronouns. I've been attending KUUF since fall of 2018 and lay leading since 2023. I have long blondish hair, and I chose a flowered shirt today for our flower communion, and I'm wearing black pants. Our guest speaker this morning is Reverend Carol McKinley. Reverend Carol comes to us from the Olympia UU congregation, where she is a community-affiliated minister. We're glad to welcome her back this morning. If you are visiting with us this morning, we invite you to participate as you feel comfortable. If you're here in person, we look forward to welcoming you after the service during our coffee hour. If you are attending online, please introduce yourself in the chat. For those of us here in the sanctuary, it's important to note that we regularly have 15 to 30 people attending online, so our community is much larger than those assembled here. Either way, in person or online, we are glad you're here. If you're here in the sanctuary this morning, please silence all of your electronic devices. The announcements are available in our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the lands and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855.
Good morning. I'm Carol McKinley. I use she, her pronouns. I have white hair. I have on a blue jacket, and my stole is filled with natural objects, cattails, leaves, and flowers, something in relationship to our flower communion today to go with our beautiful flowers that all of you have brought. Our opening words are from the Reverend Meg Barnhouse. We gather to worship, our hearts alive with hope that here we will be truly seen, that here we will be welcomed into the garden of this community, where the simple and the elegant, the fluted and the frilled, the shy and dramatic complement one another and are treasured. May we know that here each contributes in their way to the beauty of the whole. Once again, good morning and welcome.
We welcome my son, Nathaniel Haskell, to come up and light our chalice. During the pandemic, Nathaniel helped with many of the stories for the Times for All Ages. He was a little guy then, and now he's taller than me. Let us light our chalices together with these words from the Reverend Amy Zucker Morgenstern on this Flower Communion Sunday. Within the heart of the flower, the fountain of beauty. Within the heart of the community, a fire that warms and dances. Within the heart of each of us, a spark of the spirit of life. Please join me in the spoken affirmation. The words will appear on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. Our next hymn is Come Thou Font of Every Blessing. The second and third verses of this hymn were written by Eugene Nevias, a minister of religious education and a 1977 winner of the Angus McLean Award for Excellence in Religious Education. Please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing hymn 126, Come Thou Font of Every Blessing.
Good morning. Today I am wearing a dress with a dark blue bodice and flowered skirt. First, today is the first Sunday in June and the final month in our Soul Matters theme for the 23-24 church. This year's overarching theme has been the gifts of our faith. We focused on 10 beloved UU values and explored their potential to shape us and in turn shape the world. We looked at the gifts of welcome, heritage, generosity, mystery, liberating love, justice, equity, transformation, interdependence, and pluralism. This month, we are exploring the gift of renewal. Today, the children will be looking at how our spirits are renewed by reclaiming the right to joy. As part of that, we honor Pride Month as a time to reclaim the right to the joyous celebration of diversity and self. In the same way, our Unitarian Universalist flower service was created to reclaim the joyous celebration of each person's uniqueness. Today's story is about how Pride Month and the rainbow flag came to be in 1978. It's about the first time when the rainbow flag was used and how it represented hopes for acceptance and diversity. There is a sad part in the story too, because the man that the story is about, Harvey Milk, was murdered. But his memory and the rainbow flag live on, and we still use it today. Pride, the story of Harvey Milk and the rainbow flag. You have to give them hope. Hope for a better world, hope for a better tomorrow. Harvey Milk was an ordinary man, but he had an extraordinary dream. That dream would change history. Harvey dreamed that everyone, even gay people, would have equality. He dreamed that he and his friends would be treated like everyone else. He dreamed that one day people would be able to live and love as they pleased. With his New York accent, Harvey talked to everyone about his dream. His voice boomed. His body bounced with energy and excitement. Some people listened. A few agreed. Most did not. But Harvey's big voice and his big dream wouldn't be stopped. He discovered that the best way to change laws was to help make laws. In 1977, Harvey Milk took a big step toward that dream when he became one of the first openly gay people to be elected to political office in the United States. Harvey and his friends planned marches to protest inequality and unfair laws. And just days before one of the marches, Harvey had an idea. A symbol, he thought. We need a symbol that shows who we are and how we feel. Something to carry during the march. Something to make people feel they're part of a community. Something to give people hope. Something extraordinary. Harvey knew an artist who could help, Gilbert Baker. Harvey asked. Gilbert said, "We need a flag." Volunteers arrived to help Gilbert's design come to life. Together, they dipped fabric into large barrels filled with vivid, vibrant dyes. They cut and pieced and sewed until Harvey Gilbert and the other activists had a flag with 8 colorful stripes, a flag that Harvey hoped would give hope. Rights are won only by those who make their voices heard. On June 25th, 1978, when it was time for the march, a breeze stirred in San Francisco. The flag unfurled. The wind blew. The flag fluttered, flapped, and flew. A rainbow as bright and unique as the men and women who walked behind it led the march. Harvey and the people asked for equality. They asked to be treated like everyone else. They asked to live and love as they pleased. They hoped the march would make a difference. Harvey was proud of the flag and proud of himself. He hoped others could be proud too. 5 months later, on the morning of November 27th, 1978, Harvey and the mayor of San Francisco, George Moscone, were assassinated. Their lives were taken by a man who did not think like Harvey or feel like him, or love like him. The flag did not fly on that dark, sad night. Instead, thousands and thousands of people marched silently carrying candles. The candlelight wove through the streets of San Francisco, up and down hills and around city buildings. A mile of glowing candlelight in honor of 2 lives lost. That could have been the end of Harvey's dream and the colorful flag, but it wasn't. More rainbow flags were created. Some of the colors changed. 8 stripes became 6 stripes, but the meaning of the flag did not change. It was a flag of equality. More and more people began to think of the flag as their flag, and they began to feel pride. They began to have hope. In 1994, Gilbert Baker designed another rainbow flag. This one was larger than all the rest. Women and men, side by side, carried the flag, a proud, mile-long rainbow floating through New York City. The flag wove through the streets, up and down avenues and boulevards and around city buildings. The people demanded equality. They demanded to be treated like everyone else. They demanded to live and love as they pleased. They were proud. They had hope. They would make a difference. I ask for the moment to continue, for the movement to grow. More rainbow flags were made. Some were printed on bumper stickers and T-shirts. Others were hoisted onto lampposts on Halsted Street in Chicago. One was hung in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. Soon, the rainbow flag was flying in other countries like Brazil, England, Israel, Russia, Singapore, and Turkey. The rainbow flag now unfurled on farms, in suburbs, and in cities. The flag flew proudly outside public buildings, hotels, shops, restaurants, churches, and homes. And once, on June 26, 2015, the White House was awash in the colors of the rainbow flag. Equality, pride, hope, love. Harvey's dream became a flag for us all. Happy Pride Month. In this book, Harvey created a symbol of hope and joy in the rainbow flag. How do you find hope and joy? Please now rise in body or spirit and sing the children on their way up to the Matin Building.
We gather as a religious community to give each one of us a place where we can do the work of many. Together, our light is much brighter than a solitary flame. Now is the time in our service when we share in the sacred act of giving, an expression of gratitude transformed into generosity that breathes life into our mission. As part of our mission that inspires us to act on our beliefs, we share our weekly offering with the local nonprofit agency providing services within our larger community. Our charitable giving recipient for the month of June is West Sound Wellness Foundation, an organization focused on providing services for HIV/AIDS clients, at-risk youth, LGBTQ+ gender and sexuality affirming care, and reproductive health. In a moment, our ushers will move among us with baskets to collect the offering. Donations placed in the basket will go to West Sound Wellness Foundation. If you would like your offering to be used for KUUF, please use one of the envelopes provided to you with your order of service when you came into the sanctuary. For those joining us online, you may go to our website, kuuf.org, and select the Giving tab for PayPal and mailing information. If this is your first time at KUUF, please feel free to let the basket pass you by. Your presence is your gift. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our beloved community, which is sacred to us. Let us enjoy a gift of music from our choir. What a beautiful gift of music. I've loved that song since the first time I heard it, though when Kermit the Frog sings it, it's a little less joyful and sincere than when our group did it. Now is the time for our joys and sorrows. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows lessened. Bonnie Heinrich has a joy and sorrow to share. A joy for the recent beautiful days and colorful clouds which help her reflect on life, and a sorrow for one of her best friends, Christine Obeck, being taken off life support at Swedish Hospital after a sudden lymphoma diagnosis and emergency surgery. Christine was a retired kindergarten teacher in Silverdale. May she rest in peace. We are thinking of you and her, Bonnie. Dominic E. Bacher has a joy that for the new colors dyes that he's found, that I've found that allow me to express myself to the world through dye arts. Nice. Melinda has a joy that the city of Poulsbo is embracing Pride Month by hanging pride flags at City Hall and downtown. Her sorrow is that they were vandalized within 24 hours. However, they have been mended, and resiliency abounds. And our last joy is my joy that I won the Whistler trip in the auction in the fall. And this week, some friends and I who are at the all but dissertation stage of our doctoral work are headed up for a writing retreat. So we'll put it to good use. Yeah. And we light one last candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share.
Invite you to come together in the spirit of prayer and contemplation. Let's continue to hold in our hearts all of those joys and sorrows expressed this morning with the lighting of the candles. Spirit of life and love, let us also hold in our hearts and in the heart of this beloved community all the people of this earth. Let us continue to see the beauty in our life, the abundance of love that surrounds us. May we find peace, liberty, and justice filling the days of our lives and spreading outward, touching the lives of all, that we may all grow ever more deeply, ever more fully, ever more genuinely human, connected, healed, and at peace. So may it be. Amen. Let us now join together in singing the response in hymn number 123, Spirit of Life, for those of you using the hymnal. You may remain seated. Our reading this morning is from the Reverend Lynn Unger, a wonderful Unitarian Universalist poet who now lives in Vancouver, Washington. In her poem, Flower Communion, she writes, "What a gathering! The purple tongues of iris licking out at spikes of lupin, the orange crepe skirts of poppies lifting over buttercup and daisy. Who can be grim in the face of such abundance? There is nothing to compare, no need for beauty to compete. The voluptuous rhododendron and the plain grass are equally filled with themselves, equally declare the miracles of color and form. This is what community looks like. this vibrant jostle, stem by stem, declaring the marvelous joining. This is the face of communion, the incarnation, once more gracefully resurrected from winter. Hold these things together. Hold them in your sight. Purple, crimson, magenta, blue. You will be feasting on this long after the flowers are gone. Now let us pause for a moment of reflection, followed by our post-reflection music. Thank you, choir. It's great to be reminded that we are in a wonderful world filled with the beauty of music as well as the beauty of flowers. Each year, KUUF UU Fellowship celebrates its flower communion. You bring flowers from your garden or flower pots to share, and some of them may have been even from the roadside, those beautiful foxglove, which I love. And in this ritual here at the flower communion, you each take a blossom that another person has brought. But why flowers, and why is it communion? Why, for more than 100 years, have Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world observed its flower communion as the seasons move from spring to summer? And what meaning can we draw from this ritual? Like all traditions, it begins with a story. The story of the flower communion goes back to 1923, 101 years ago, to a church thousands of miles from Bremerton, Washington, to Prague, Czechoslovakia. Now, the church there in Prague was plain and simple. It didn't look much like a church. It had no bells, no spires. It had a few windows, but they had no stained glass in them. It had no organ to accompany the Sunday hymns. It didn't even have a piano, which we have a beautiful piano here. There were no candles, no chalice, no flowers to beautify the garden or the sanctuary. People sat on wooden chairs as they gathered in this plain, unadorned space. But they did have a minister, Dr. Norbert Capek, who preached every Sunday. As the people listened to him, they sat quietly and on those hard wooden chairs, no cushions on them like we have here. And when he was done speaking, people talked maybe a little bit among themselves, and then they went home. And that was all. No music, no candles, no coffee, no social hour with cookies and treats like we have here at KUUF. Before he became minister of this Unitarian Church in Prague, Norbert Capek's faith journey had taken him down several spiritual paths. His mother was a devoted Catholic, his father an agnostic. As a child, Norbert served as an acolyte in his community's Catholic church, but the years passed and he became somewhat disillusioned with that tradition. As a young man, he moved to Vienna, and there he discovered the Baptist church. He was an enthusiastic convert, so he went on to become a Baptist minister and went on to establish churches from Budapest to Ukraine. Capek's understanding of faith continued to evolve over the years. He became more and more liberal in his theological views. When he was called to serve a Baptist church in New York City, he gladly accepted and served until 1919, when he wrote in his diary, "I cannot be a Baptist anymore, even in compromise. The fire of new desires, new worlds is burning inside me." While he was in New York, he met a young woman who had been born in Czechoslovakia, as he was, and not long after, Maya became his wife. At her urging, Capek began exploring Unitarianism, and in 1921, they both joined a Unitarian church in New Jersey for the same reason many of you did. Their children liked the religious education program at the church. When World War I ended and Czechoslovakia became independent, the Capeks returned to that country and established a dynamic Unitarian church in Prague, the Prague Liberal Religious Fellowship. Now, over the years, the Prague Church grew to 3,200 members. In 1926, Maya was ordained to Unitarian ministry, and then she worked with her husband at the Prague Church. Now, for some time, Norbert Capek had felt the need for a ritual that would bind people more closely together in this church. But a new ritual had to be symbolic, something representing their community, but one that would not alienate any of those who had left their other religious traditions. The traditional Christian communion service with bread and wine was unacceptable to many members of his congregation because they brought to their Unitarian church a strong reaction against the Catholic faith. Now, Capek's church, like ours, had people who believed many different things. One spring day, Capek went out for a walk through the streets of Prague. Now, the rains had come, the birds were singing, and flowers were blooming all over the land, just as they are today here in our world. And that world in Prague was beautiful. As he walked through the city and the countryside, an idea came to him. He realized his church could create a ritual using the native beauty of their own countryside, one that would have the elements of a communion, of sharing, but it would be genuine to his people. By imagining a new kind of communion service, Capek was creating the vision of a new kind of church, one that moved beyond traditional patterns while still retaining for its members the symbolism and the meaning of a communion ritual. So that Sunday in church, he asked all the people to bring a flower or a budding branch, or even just a twig with some leaves on it, to the next week's service. Each person was to bring one either from their own gardens or one that they had gathered from fields or roadside. You choose, he said. Each of you choose what you like. And so the next Sunday, the people came with flowers of all different colors and sizes and kinds. There were yellow daisies and some red roses, just as we have here. There were white lilies and blue larkspur, dark-eyed pansies, light green leaves. I don't know if they had any peonies or not, but we have an abundance of those this morning. Pink and purple, orange and gold. There were all these colors and many more. When people arrived at church, a large vase stood waiting in the vestibule, attended by 2 young members from the church school. Each person was asked to place their own flower in the vase. This signified they were, by their own free will, were joining with others. The vase holding all the flowers was a symbol of the church community, each person unique, yet united. The young people helped arrange the bouquet, then carried the vase up to the front of the church and placed it on a table. The beautiful, vibrant flowers filled the church with color and fragrance. So no longer was that church building plain and simple. Capek said, "These flowers are like ourselves. Different colors, different shapes, different sizes, each meaning different kinds of care. But each one is beautiful, each important in its own way." He then invited everyone, men, women, and children, to come to the front of the church to choose a flower from the vase to take home. And that was all. A flower communion, that unique Unitarian ceremony. In 1940, Maya Capek brought the flower communion to the United States. She introduced the ceremony to the members of our Cambridge, Massachusetts church. And from there, this colorful ritual, which expresses the humanity-affirming principles of our liberal faith, spread to many congregations in this country. When World War II started, Maya was unable to return to her home country, Czechoslovakia. Now, that same year, 1940, the Nazis took control of Prague. They found Capek's message emphasizing the inherent worth and beauty of each person to be, as Nazi court records show, too dangerous for the Reich to allow him to live. The Gestapo arrested Capek in 1942, accusing him of listening to foreign broadcasts, and they sent him to Dachau concentration camp. Now, in that place where all suffered starvation and torture, Capek held a flower communion with his fellow prisoners, who found whatever flower they could among the weeds of the camp. These humble flowers in the hands of prisoners testified to the beauty larger than themselves, larger than their captors, and they testified to a love that would outlive them. Capek was killed the next year during a Nazi medical experiment. It was not until after the war ended that Maya learned of her husband's death at Dachau. This gentle man, this creative man, suffered a cruel death, but his message of human hope and decency lives on through the flower communion. It is a noble and meaning-filled ritual. It sanctifies, yes, it sanctifies, makes holy an ordinary act and gives it meaning. So this is how the flower communion began. It is celebrated, of course, in many, if not all, of our Unitarian Universalist congregations, and has been adapted in different ways through the years. And although, of course, we're many years and many thousands of miles from Capek's church in Prague, we hold on to the meaning of his ritual. We bring flowers, place them in the vases, and then we take them home in a communion that symbolizes this beautiful, diverse community. It is also a reminder that for this community to have beautiful flowers every year, we need to tend our gardens, caring for and nurturing those plants and flowers so they continue blooming year after year, just as we must nurture and tend to this community and each other. It is a reminder that when we bring flowers to this fellowship and exchange them, we symbolize the sharing that is essential to a free people of a free religion, making real our faith in this community. And this community is a place each one of us needs to help us be who we can be. Today, just as those Czech Unitarians did so many years ago, we will each select a flower from the vase. As you do so, hold in your heart a sense of how important it is for each of us to address our world and each other with gentleness, justice, and love. Notice as you hold it your flower's particular shape and beauty. Then handle it carefully. It is a gift that someone else has brought to you. It represents that person's unique humanity and therefore deserves your kindest touch. As no two flowers are alike, so no two people are alike, yet each is part of the whole bouquet. Like this church community, it would not be the same in that bouquet without each and every one of us. And of course, that goes beyond just this fellowship. Each flower represents people living all over this world. Maybe we'll never see them face to face or touch their hands, but we can still warm our hands on our hearts, on their hearts, because we know that their hopes are like our hopes. Their pain is like our pain. Their love is like our love. At each flower communion, Dr. Capek said this blessing over the flowers. He said, "Infinite Spirit of life, we ask your blessing on these, your messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to your holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of life's most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another person's talents discourage us or sully that relationship. But may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do your work in this world." These flowers that you brought today are so lovely, yet, of course, they will fade tomorrow. But love among brothers and sisters, families and friends will go on and on. You have brought flowers and your love to brighten this church and gladden the hearts of everyone here. And these flowers are a promise of the future, just as they are a blessing for today. Let us now share in the flower communion. I'll invite you to come forward, or if you prefer to remain seated, just raise your hand, and Kim, or one of our Kims, will bring a bouquet to you for a flower selection. So I now invite you to come forward or to raise your hand. I'll get one as I step down. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder, Honor. We'll close our flower communion with this poem of gratitude, A Bouquet of People by Claire Feingold Thorin. She writes, "Let us give thanks for a bouquet of people. We give thanks for children. Like tulips and iris, they multiply among us, making the world even more filled with color, beauty, and new life. May we bless them as they replant themselves even further away from us, knowing they need their own space to grow into. We give thanks for generous friends, as constant in bloom as echinacea, and whose gifts lift up our body and spirit. We give thanks for feisty friends, as indomitable as geraniums. I don't know if they're indomitable in my garden with the deer. And also thanks for continuous friends who, like bittersweet and ivory, hold on and never let go and can never be gotten rid of. For crotchety friends, as prickly as rose bushes, their beauty a secret that is only discovered through careful gardening. For surprising friends, who at first glance seem dour and then blossom into joy as quickly as forsythia. For funny friends, as silly as snapdragons, and serious friends, complex as chrysanthemums. For comfortable friends, their gentle presence as soothing as the sweet smell of lilacs. For stormy weather friends who stand by us in hard times, like lily of the valley that cannot be deterred by shade or shadow. For our old friends, nodding like sunflowers in the evening time, and young friends coming on fast as flocks. For friends as unpretentious as dogwood, as persistent as pachysandra, as steadfast as azalea, and who, like snowdrops, can be counted on to see you through the winter and remind you that spring always comes. For loving friends who wind around us like wisteria and embrace us despite our blights, wilts, and witherings. And finally, for forget-me-nots friends, gone but not forgotten. Their beauty lives on in our memories and hearts. For this bouquet of people who brighten our lives in their own way, we give thanks. Amen. Now I invite you to join together as we sing our closing hymn, De Coloris. It's hymn number 305 if you're using the hymnal, or the words will be on the screen.
Sunlight shines out through a rift
announcement for those of you who want to stay for the new to UU class. It'll be at 11:45 here in the sanctuary. So please, following the coffee hour, and grab your coffee and treats and bring them back here into the sanctuary for the new to UU class. And now we extinguish our chalice with these words from the Reverend John Alou Johnstone. May the flower you have chosen remind you of the blessings you receive from all those gathered here. May it remind you of the beauty of this earth, of the natural world, and all the gifts that our human, animal, and plant companions share with us. May it remind you of the community we create here together, week after week. Go in peace and love.